This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and there's been a lot of looting going on, and we're all gangsters, but one of us is the boss, and they're going to be splitting up the loot among all of us, and based upon that, we're going to do different actions like, hey, let's keep you the boss, or no, we want to mutiny and overrule you as the boss, or maybe I'll be stealing loot from other players, or skimming some off the top. Interesting negotiation game we're going to talk about here. It's called Goodcritters from Arcane Wonders. This is the latest in the Dice Tower Essentials line. So let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of the game, each player gets to choose one of these critter gangsters. And I love the art in this game. It really brings you in. And everyone will also get a set of cards from that critter and a standee. The object of the game is to have the most loot at the end of the game. The types of loot do not matter for this base game, but just the amounts. Everyone will start with exactly this, and you're trying to get the most loot by, manipulating other people, because whoever has the most total money at the end will win. Now, one player will start as the boss, and being the boss is very important. You have a lot of power in the game, but if you don't do what other people want you to do, then you'll be overruled and the boss will go to somebody else. So let's say we have a 5-player game and Tooths started off as the boss. Every round, it starts with the number of loot cards of players plus 2. So in a 5-player game, we've got 7 loot cards out here. They're randomly taken off the top of a shuffled loot deck. Now the boss is going to take all these and they're going to split them up any way they see fit, but everything is open negotiation in this game. You're making favors, you're trying to be in people's good spirits, you're trying to maybe do future things, you're trading anything you want, cards that you already have, anything goes in this game and deals are not binding. So after negotiation, the boss distributed the loot this way: 5 to themselves, 7 to Anna, 7 to Roxy, and 2 to Tommy, and none to Knuckles because they weren't able to come up with a deal. Then everyone is going to secretly take one of their action cards and place it face down. Now this money is not theirs yet. This is what's offered if if everything goes well this round, enough people vote yes for the boss and they want this to happen. And that's part of choosing your action. So at this point, each player has different action cards. They're all going to basically secretly select one that they want to and put it face down. Once all players are there, starting with the boss, they're going to flip them over and go clockwise, and certain programmed actions are going to happen. So starting with that boss, they're going to flip this over. Let me show you the different things that could happen. Now this person, the boss is voting for a yes. Yes votes are very important for the boss because if at the end of the round, there's more yes votes than no votes, then all the loot that was distributed gets to be put into that player's pile and can no longer be stolen. They've essentially made that money and the boss stays the same. However, if there are as many no's as yeses, or more no's than yeses, then the boss will not be the boss any longer, and any of the distributed loot actually goes back into the center, and that will seed the next round, so that loot is not taken from those people. So the people that are not cutting the deal are going to want to say no, and the people that are in the deal are going to say yes, but it's not as easy as just yes and no's, because there's plenty of other actions you can choose to overthrow people. For example, the boss might have gotten everyone to verbally say they're going to say yes for them, and the boss might instead skim. The first player in a round, remember the boss goes first, gets to skim off the top. The deck of loot cards is here. They get to take one off the top. That's in addition to what they might be getting here. So this player just skims off the top. They look at it secretly and go, oh, I got 2. Well, it's not that much, but hey, at least they made money. So this player skimmed, but again, only the first player did. Because if anybody else picks skim, they get nothing if somebody else already did. Now, Knuckles here was not very happy with not getting anything, so during the negotiation process, they took their standee figure and placed it in front of Anna. What this means is they are claiming that they are going to try to rob Anna and take loot from their stash that they've already gotten, not the ones from this round. So it could be a bluff, but it's them saying, hey, I might be robbing you. Because if the card that Knuckles played is robbed, they would get to take randomly a card from one of the loot cards that they have already taken that game. Unless, however, if the card that Anna had secretly selected was a guard card because they knew someone that Knuckles might rob them, then this is the only card that's played out of order. If someone had put their play card there and they actually did play the rob card, this player, if they played the guard card, can flip it over and block them from robbing them. But this player had to waste a card to do that, so it's a tough choice to make, and now this player who really wants this to go through couldn't have played the yes card, which makes it less apt that this whole thing is going to go through and they're going to get this money. So tough choices, even though easy mechanisms. Now Tommy here was not happy that he only got 2,000 where everyone else got a lot more, so they played nice and told the boss that they were going to put down a yes, but in fact they lied and put down a no, because they're trying to overthrow the boss because they want to be the new boss. And of course, the next player, Roxy, well, they told the boss they were going to say a yes too. That gave the boss enough confidence to try to steal and skim off the top instead of saying yes for themselves to try to be the boss, continue being the boss, and make the loot for this round. But this player overthrew the boss a little bit, threw him under the bus, and tried to skim, showing that they were lying to the boss. However, since someone already played skim, they get to do nothing this turn. So at the end of the round, we look at yeses and nos. So in this case, we have no yeses and we have one no. If there's more no's than yeses, none of the loot that was offered actually go to those players because, hey, you know what? It didn't go through. People did not say yes to the boss. So not only do those go back, but at the beginning of the next round, 2 more loot gets added to this whole entire pile, and the boss token goes to the first player clockwise to them that put a no out. So this player has now become the new boss. However, if there was an equal amount of yeses and nos, all the distributed loot go to the players, but the boss goes clockwise 1 player. So it did go through, it was tied, but there's gonna be a new boss clockwise 1 player. Now, if there was actually more yeses than nos, then the distributed wealth that was distributed earlier that I showed would go to those players, and we'd start a new round and the boss would stay the boss. There's also a variant I highly recommend. It's called Payouts. And each player will get 5 of these. They're worth 1,000 each at the end of the game, but you can use these to help bribe other people. Like you might say to Roxy, you know what? I want you to vote yes this round, and I'm gonna give you 2 of those. I'm also gonna give you this loot card. I'm not gonna turn it up and show you what it is, but trust me, it's a $5,000 bill. And this player, if they do what this player wants, they get this. If they don't do what they want, this player will get them back, and it adds another level of depth to the negotiations. Now this continues in clockwise motion until, at one point during the loot deck, as it's being put into the middle of the table, the fuzz police might come and the game ends immediately. This card is placed in a certain part of the deck depending on the amount of players. Whoever has the most money at the end is the winner. All right, well, there is Goodcritters. I first had a chance to play this last year at PAX Unplugged with the Dice Tower crew. It was like the previous version of this, a German game, and the game was a ton of fun that night. But the art and the theme and stuff like that wasn't that good. Now, what Arcane Wonders has done with this has made it absolutely gorgeous. The art just really draws you in. All the, the detail of the animals, and it just looks really cool. And everyone I play this with is like, wow, this art is amazing, and it does just draw you in. The theme is fun, and you really do feel like the boss. When you're the boss and you're splitting up the loot and you're making negotiations and you're trying to do things, sometimes in the middle of the negotiation you'll be giving some cards to people. They'll say something to somebody else or say something back, and you're like, well, no, not anymore. You're taking that over, move it to someone else. You feel like you're in charge. And you're trying to make as many people happy as possible so you can get those yeses and stay in charge. And hopefully you can find some people that are loyal to you and you can keep going longer and longer, but you can't give away too much. One of the games I played this in, I actually stayed the boss for a long time. There's some variants where you can make it so if you don't like that, you can change it after 3 times someone's been the boss. But I was a boss for a long time, and I ended up not even winning the game because the 2 people that were most loyal to me actually ended up beating me. But I like the whole boss aspect. You really feel like it. You're trying to manipulate. It's just awesome. Simple mechanisms. The game is easy to teach. I mean, you're just selecting a card, go. This game is just very streamlined, and I like that aspect of it. Sometimes negotiation games can get a little too caught up in the minutia of what you're negotiating about, where this is just very fun. Brings me to my next point, open negotiation. It's one of my favorite 2 words to read in rule books. Open negotiation is awesome. I mean, anything goes. I mean, you can do things. You can lie. You can try to make way. You can overthrow people. You can bribe, but then not follow through. There are some of the variant here about using the payoff cards is cool because there are some aspects of the game that they have to do that, in order to get the reward, similar to like an Article 27 thing. Hey, you're going to say yes, right? Okay, well, if you don't say yes, you don't get this, but if you do, you do. So I like that they added some hooks in there that are binding, but a lot of the game is not binding. Open negotiation in this game. This game is really just played above the table, and it is one of this game, I love negotiation games, and this is one of the most, if not the most enjoyable 30-ish minute negotiation game I've ever played. It's just so fun. The boss is struggling, trying to get more yeses. But the other people are trying to overthrow them and put those no's, and it's interesting because if it's even, then the person closest to the boss becomes the leader. So that player is going to be a little bit more inept or wanting to put the no down, because if it's tied, they're going to be the next boss. So you have to really know that as the boss and try to take care of them a little bit more than others. And that's interesting. But if there's more no votes, the loot goes back. Nobody gets what was going on. They didn't get what was promised to them. And then more loot comes up, so it ramps it up. And I like that a lot. Really cool way to the interaction there. The skimming, when you skim off the top, is really cool, but it happens in turn order and only the first person can play it. So again, you're going to want to take care of the person closest to you if you're not going to be the one skimming off the top, and try to get them to really put the yes. And if you're later in the turn order, you're like, I want to skim, but I have a feeling that player is going to skim. It's just all these things of what you think other players are going to do. Placing the character to rob people. This game, we laughed a lot and said, this game should just be called, man, I'm robbing you, or something like that. And because every turn it's like, I'm going to rob you. Boom, I'm going to rob you. And so I love that aspect that you got to make someone think, okay, they're going to rob me. Am I going to rob them back? Do I want to waste a turn playing my guard card? Do I want to waste my turn robbing them back when I could probably do something else? Multiple people go to you. Wow, you're both going to rob me? Now I kind of have to play the guard card, because if either one of you are not bluffing, then I'm out, right? So I like that aspect, that like the bluffing of the characters of robbing. Awesome. So you're like, do I guard? No. Do I skim? No. Do I do a yes? Lots of things to think about. It's unbelievable. This game's so fun. If you like negotiation at all, you're going to love this game, I think. Now, negative is it is pure negotiation, really. And negotiation, as fun as this may be to everyone I've played this with, if negotiation isn't your thing and you're just shy and you just do not like negotiating or haggling with anybody, this might not be the game for you. But even if that is you, I would recommend trying it just once, because the fun and the laughter around the table is infectious, and I think you'll end up liking it anyway. So that is Goodcritters. I can't speak highly enough of this game. I absolutely loved it. So it's getting a section on Serenade, absolutely. Coming into the gaming library, so let's hit it.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.